Have you ever assumed that just because you were feeling a certain way that it must be true? That's a cognitive distortion. And guess what its name is? Emotional reasoning. You are using your emotions as evidence and proof of your reality. I feel nervous before going on stage, therefore I must be terrible at acting. I feel embarrassed after asking that question, therefore I must be an idiot. This person spoke to me in a stern tone and they criticized me. They are being mean to me. This guy doesn't seem to get the hang of it. He asks a lot of questions. I'm getting really irritated. He must be incompetent. Emotional reasoning is using your emotions as evidence of your reality. Now, just like all other cognitive distortions, they come from a certain place. Your perception about others, your perception about yourself, or your perception about the world. I'm feeling anxious, so this situation must be dangerous. Meanwhile, it's me sharing my opinion in a group, trying to speak up for myself. I am in a relationship, but I feel lonely, therefore, my partner must not care about me. I want to be productive, but I feel really overwhelmed. I guess that means I can't finish the task. I feel offended. They must have been intentionally rude. This cognitive distortion causes you to eliminate all evidence and focus solely on your emotion. And then you take your emotion and you assign meaning as the evidence of your reality, which ultimately creates a cycle of frustration, anxiety, depression, overthinking, poor decision making, all based on temporary and mostly inaccurate feelings that you seem to have taken as evidence. The thing about this cognitive distortion is that you can become hypercritical of yourself, hypercritical of others, hypercritical of the world around you. But like all other distortions and self sabotaging behaviors, they didn't just come out of thin air. At some point, you might have learned this behavior, or you might have believed that narrative about yourself or about that person. So if I'm talking a lot and someone looks away, then I must be annoying. Maybe at some point I was neglected and my stories and my feelings and my opinions were discounted. So now I'm really hyper vigilant about that experience. And whenever that emotion of me being annoying comes up, I take it as the other person is being affected by it. They think I'm annoying too. Let's say I grew up being heavily criticized and in a very aggressive household, constantly berated and being told what to do in a very aggressive way. Now I'm in a work environment and my boss speaks to me in a stern tone and critiques my work, gives me a suggestion, but their tone is very assertive and clear. I get taken back to that moment of childhood criticism and aggression, and now I think my boss is being mean to me because they are being assertive and they are giving me critique. If I believe my embarrassment equates to me being an idiot, at some point I might have felt minimized. I might have felt incompetent. I might have felt underqualified. Sometimes it has nothing to do with another person or another experience you had. Sometimes it has to do with your own self concept. What do you believe about yourself? Why are you assigning that emotion to that belief? Where did it come from? So it's important that you get clear with yourself. Understand where this cognitive distortion came from. Understand when it comes up, what environment, around which people, around what sort of behaviors. Is it a proximity thing, a voice thing? Is it a shame thing, an embarrassment thing? Get clear with yourself. Understand what's happening and then work to overcome it. Become empowered. Work on your self concept. Call out what happened. I learned to be this type of person because of this experience. Get clear on that. I learned to overthink because I grew up in an environment where I had to calculate all of the adults' moves around me. And then think about who you want to be. And then identify yourself with that version of yourself. Let go of the old one. Get clear on it, but let it go after you get clear so you can have some understanding. But then you release it. That's not you. Now, I identify as someone who is confident because I place myself in slightly uncomfortable situations where I can practice speaking up for myself. I'm someone who still shows up regulated even when I'm uncertain of what the other person is thinking. I'm someone who is bold enough to ask what the other person is thinking. I'm someone who is vulnerable enough to express my needs. I identify as someone who is empowered and authentically me. So if you notice that you experience super strong emotions without any proof, or so much so that you believe that your emotions are now evidence of reality, check in with yourself and see if it's a cognitive distortion. And what I want you to do is I want you to identify the distortion and the thought, identify the emotion that comes with it, and then identify your behavior. Once you know those three things, you're going to be a little more self aware of yourself. And I love to say a problem well stated is a problem half solved. So if my cognitive distortion, emotional reasoning comes up, he just critiqued me, therefore he's mad at me or he's being mean to me. That's my thought. That's the distortion, emotional reasoning. I feel shame or overwhelmed. My behavior, I feel like avoiding him. I'm no longer going to ask for his feedback. Call yourself out on these things so you can learn you. That's power.